G'day everyone, Paul here from Hopstar Computing Solutions, and today I'd like to talk to you about password managers, and in particular my favourite password manager, Bitwarden. Before we begin, I'd like to show you the power of password managers. I'm going to do a demonstration with my password manager to show you how I start my day when I turn my computer on. Here we have my preferred browser. I use Firefox. When I start the day, I first use my icon up here in the top right hand corner of my browser. This is to log into my password manager, and we're going to discuss these more later. I've got a very secure password. There we go. And then once I'm logged in, I can open up the sites that I normally go to. I normally open up Proton Mail, which is my preferred mail. You might use Hotmail or Gmail or something else like that. Open that one up. I've got two different accounts that I use, so I could even open up a duplicate of this one. We're going to go to the login screen for both of these. Login and login. And then I can click on the icon up here for my password manager and choose which one matches this site. So I'll open up this one here. And over here I'll open up this one. They're the two main ones that I use. And I also use Outlook. There you go. And once again I can just choose the appropriate one from the list here. And go next. I don't even need to know what my passwords are. It doesn't even matter. My password manager remembers them for me. There we go. I've logged into 3 different accounts here without having to do much at all. One password to log into all things. So why should we care about passwords? Well, let's first have a look at the list of the top 25 most common passwords of 2019. Number 1 on the list is, zoom in here, 123456. That's a terrible password. Even if you add a few numbers, that's still going to be a terrible password. QWERTY is just the first sort of few keys on your keyboard. Look down at your keyboard, QWERTY. Not great. Password, coming in at number 8. Password makes for a terrible password. This one is pretty much just all the letters on the top line of the keyboard. So some of these are really bad to see that these are the most common passwords. Not only are they the most common, they're the most terrible. Let's have a look first at why these are so bad to use, and why you'd also want to make sure that you're using different passwords on each site that you visit. So there's a site we can actually use, and that you can use as well, to test how strong these passwords and your own passwords are as well. I'm going to open up a new tab in my browser here, and I'm going to type in, how strong is my password? And I meant secure. How secure is my password is one that we want. It's HowSecureIsMyPassword.net. And this is a very well trusted site. It's very secure. It actually has a little padlock here, which means that it's a secure connection. You can see that there. Any information you pass into here is secure between your computer and the site where this one is hosted. If you're still nervous about entering in your password, you can just change your password a bit. So make it something similar. I'm actually going to go back over to our list of the most common ones. Let's scroll down and try this one. I'm going to highlight this one with my mouse. I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut Control-C to copy it. And then I'm going to click over here. And in here, I'm going to do Control-V, which is the keyboard shortcut to paste it in. And as you can see, it would be cracked instantly. Now let's try another one. What about this one, which has a little bit more difference to it? Copy that. And paste. 1 day. Not great. What does this actually mean here? This means that based on how secure your password is, it would take a computer about 1 day to crack your password. If someone was to get a computer and to sort of try and brute force, try and log into one of your accounts, it could cycle through all the different possible passwords, and it would only take 1 day for it to be able to crack it. So not a very good password. Let's have a look at what does make a good password. So a strong password should be unique, which means it's a different password for each site that you use. It should be longer than is required. So if the site says you must have at least 8 characters, it should be longer than that. Maybe make it 10 or make it 16. And it should be a mix of characters. So uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and special. Uppercase letters are like that. Lowercase letters are like that. Numbers. And special characters are basically if you hold down the shift key on the keyboard and press one of the numbers, there's a few of the different special characters. having those in your password would actually make it very secure. Actually, let's try that one as a password. I bet you that one is pretty secure. Click over to here, highlight that one and do Control V again to paste. 3 octillion years. Not exactly sure how long that is, but I'm pretty sure it will take a while. Now, the part about being unique is really important. If you have your email address, you obviously need your username and your password. So UN for username and PW for password. So let's say your email address is yourname@email.com. When you log into that site, you need to have a password. Let's say our password is 123456. Now that we have that login for our email, if we go over to Facebook and we want to create a profile there, it's going to ask you for an email address. You're going to use your name at email.com, which is obviously just a made-up one. And then the password, you might go, well, I don't want to forget my password, so I'm going to do 123456, and maybe I'll put an FB on the end for Facebook. When you go over to your bank, when you sign up for internet banking, they're going to want an email and a password as well. Your name at email.com. And for the password, maybe you're going to do it backwards. You're going to be clever. 654321. Now, although these are unique passwords, they're very, very similar, and there's not that much difference between them. If someone was to work out one of your accounts, maybe you sign up for something else. Maybe it's something like a newsletter. And once again, you use your username and your password, and whoops. And we do 123456. Now, let's say that the bank and Facebook and your email are all very secure, and that no one ever manages to hack into them. But maybe the place where you signed up for a newsletter has less security. If your details get out, your name at email, there we go. If your details for here were to get out, then a hacker could try and use the email address and the password on the site that the email address has come from, and then they would try all different sites with different combinations, and a password like that would be very quick to be able to guess. So it's very important that we use a very different password for each site. It should be longer than is required, and it should be a good mix of uppercase, lowercase, numbers and special characters as well. So a scenario where this would be something that would look good is you'd want something completely random, like this. It's punching in random keys here pretty much. And you want something like that for each of the different sites. But how would you ever hope to remember that? Well, there's actually a really easy way with something called a password manager. And the one that I prefer to use is called Bitwarden. You can do a search for Bitwarden. I'm going to take you through the process now of actually setting Bitwarden up. Bitwarden.com. There we go. If you already have an account, then you can log in. But we're going to be getting started. You can either click Getting Started or create a free account. Same way. Let's click Create a Free Account. So we need to enter in an email address. I'm going to be using one over here. It's trying to ask me to save it. I'm using one that is hobstar@protonmail.com. So I'm going to be using that one. Not that one, that's a different one. And we can put a name there, put any name you like. And this is where we need to set our master password. Now we need to make something that is nice and secure, but also something that we can remember. Now there's another way that we can actually do this. I wanted to point out to you before we move on. Let's actually make a password together. Now, although these are really good and secure, we still need one that we can remember for our password manager. So let's actually set one up now. So this one, I'm using this one. You will need to use your own email address. Another way we can do for a password is actually called a passphrase, which is different. What I like to do normally in my classes is I'll get each of the students to say a random word. So you might have something like someone might call out beach, and someone else might call out holiday, then maybe barbecue and friend. Although those 4 things are sort of completely random and not necessarily associated together, it's still something that you can kind of make a little story in your head, where you have a beach holiday, where you have barbecue with friends. So it's a way to remember a slightly longer kind of password, but making it easier to remember than trying to remember what that one is. Let's actually test this one before we use it. Go over to HowSecureIsMyPassword. I'm going to delete that one out and paste this one in. And this one's 200 septillion years. And once again, I don't know how long that is, but that's pretty secure. So that was just a combination of different words. You could even add a few numbers in there. You could add in some numbers between beach and holiday if you wanted to. We're just going to use this one for now. That's fine. This is good because we'll be able to remember it fairly easily. Back over to creating our account. Let's use that one. So beach, space, holiday, space, barbecue, all capital letters, friend. Was it friend or was it S on the end? Let's just double check. No S. Okay. And I want you to retype the master password so that you know you're not making any mistakes. Beach, holiday, barbecue, friend. Now also, when you're creating this for the first time, I do actually remember that you write it down on a little piece of paper. Maybe put it inside your phone or inside your wallet. Don't write what it's for, just write it down. That way, if you forget it while you're still trying to remember it, you'll have a reference to it. A hint, it looks like we've done this before, sand would be our hint, because it's about the beach and the holiday, so sand would be a good one. Once you've got all those things in, let's click submit. Before you do, if you want, you can double check the password, make sure that it looks right. Haven't done any other typos, and click submit. Okay, your new account has been created. You may now log in. So it already has our email address in there. You can tell it to remember it or to not remember it. I think it's fine to leave it as remember. And we're going to log in. So beach, holiday, barbecue, and I think I mistyped friend then. Let's check with the little I here. Yeah, I did capital F and I put too many R's. There we go. And let's click login. So this is one of the ways you can access your password vault, by actually logging into the Bitwarden site. I'm going to show you another way soon, one that I demonstrated at the very start of this video, where we can add an extension up here, which will help us to log into different sites. While we're here, we can add different items to our vault if we wish. There's also a way that we can use to automatically add them as well. So let's go, for example, I'm going to add an item in here. And we can give it a name. So I'm actually going to enter in the password for my ProtonMail account, the one that I also use to as a username for this one. So that was this. If you want, you can set up folders. I don't have anything set up here, so you won't see any there, but you could create a folder for email and a folder for online shopping, just to help you find them again easier. When you're starting off, I don't think you really need to do that. The username is the thing that will be entered into the username field when you're trying to log into this site. So in this case, actually, you know what? I'm going to change this. I'm going to change the name. I'm going to remove that out of there. Hubstar Proton email account. So it's more of a descriptive name, and then the username is going to be hubstar@protonmail. That's better. And then the password, I'm actually going to have to go and check that, because my password for this email account was actually generated as a random one. So it's a big long string of random letters, numbers, special characters. So one moment, and I'll just copy that password. I'm going to put it into here. Obviously not going to show that. And we have some other things we can set up here. The only other thing we really need that's quite handy but not essential is to put in the URL. The URL is the address of the site where we will be logging into. So in the case of this one, it's protonmail.com. And then we can just click save. There we go. And we've got our first entry there. Right, let's add another item in here. going to call this one Facebook. Because I've got more than one account, I'm going to call this one Hobstar Test. And the username for this one is a different email account that I have. And the password is, hang on. I do have a few passwords that I need to keep in my brain. Everything else is remembered by the password manager. And if you don't know the address down here, that's fine. You can always come back and add that later, and it's not essential to have. We'll see later on why it is handy though. And let's click save. So then the first way that you can use Bitwarden to enter these passwords is that if you go to somewhere like Facebook login page, we can come back here and we can go and we can launch the site directly from here, or we know this way first. We need to click on it first. We can copy the username by clicking on the button here, over to here, paste it with Control V, back to the vault over here, copy the password over to here, and paste it. This is not the best way to do it. I'm going to show you a really cool way in just a minute. Give it a moment. There we go. I'm going to log out of Facebook and show you another way. I'm also going to tell Facebook to forget it. Facebook does like to try and remember you. That's up to you if you want to leave it like that. So the way to log into sites, a much easier way, and it's the same way that I showed in the very start of the video, is to use a Bitwarden extension. So extensions are little extra things that you can add to your browser that add functionality. I'm using Google Chrome. You might be using Firefox or one of the other browsers. If I open up a new tab, I'm going to type in Bitwarden. Because I'm using Chrome, I'm going to type in Chrome and the word extension. You can see the search there has actually come up with it there. I can click on that. As you've seen previous tests, I've been here before. Click on this one. The Chrome Web Store is where you want to be if you're using Google Chrome. It'll be the Mozilla, what do they call it? The Mozilla App Store, I think. Mozilla Store for if you're using Firefox. And if you're using Safari, which is Apple, then it's the iStore. While we're here, all I need to do is click Add to Chrome. Give that a click. It warns you that it's going to be adding an extension. We're going to say yes, so add extension. And then normally your extensions appear up here, but you have to do something to turn it on. And I think here is where it's showing you. You can actually watch a little video, if you wish, on how to set it up. We need to click on this little button here, and we need to tell Bitwarden to actually be pinned. I like to have it pinned so we can actually see it there. There's another extension that I use, it's a really good one, uBlock Origin. But for now, we're just going to be looking at Bitwarden. So we now have the little Bitwarden icon here that you can click on. That'll be there every time you open your browser. The way it's set up by default is each time you load your browser, you'll need to log into Bitwarden. When you close your browser and open it again, you'll need to log in again. There are some other settings where you can tell it to time out after a few minutes, but it will require you to log in more frequently if you like more security. So I'm going to log in by clicking on the little logo here and click login. So our original email address, which we used for this account, was and the reason it was appearing down below there, I think I misspelled that, protonmail.com, was because my browser is trying to save my passwords, which is something we can actually turn off. I might show you that in just a moment. And it was beach holiday barbecue friend. And if you want to check, you can just click that to check. Yep, that looks right. If not, it's not a big deal. It'll just say that you've got it wrong. You might need to check some details. Now, I think I've misspelled something here. There's an O missing from there. Try that again. There we go. And we can see the ones that we've already added. So the things that we added over here by logging into the Bitwarden site are added, and they'll be viewed in our extension here. When you go to a site where you have the URL set, once again, let's have a look at that. Come up with Facebook here. All I need to do is actually click on that, and looks like Facebook has it disabled. So that's a great example. Let me just try and refresh the page. Sometimes that'll help. Bitwarden and click. That time it worked. So sometimes you have to refresh the page. I think it's because we just installed the extension, brand new. We'll try another one in a moment. Let's go log in. You'll see that that works fine. Okay, and we can log out again. Let's demonstrate that on another one. Let's close out of Proton Mail. And just in case it's going to not play nice, I'm just going to refresh the page. There's one recognized here. I wanted to show you what I meant about the URL, because if we go to view this record, we've set the URL or website up, protonmail.com. The up top left here, it matches as well. It's sort of similar, it's close enough. It has /login, but it recognizes this, and we can just click the Bitwarden icon and click on that one to log in. I'd like to show you now the standard procedure that you would take each day if you want to use Bitwarden with the extension when you're opening up your different websites. So let's actually close completely out of the browser. And I'm going to click the start button and type in Chrome. Yep. Load that one. So you see Bitwarden, the extension now has a little red padlock there saying we need to log in. Let's click on that. Put in our password. And press enter. So it's saying there's no logins. Don't worry if you see that. That just means for this one page that we have open, there are no logins. We'll actually search, for example, for Facebook. Once again, type it correctly. And it's here. If I actually click the launch button here, it'll take us to the URL that we've entered before, over to facebook.com. And then we can click up here and tell it to fill in by just clicking on the entry. Now we've got our Facebook signed in. We've done that by searching through the extension here. So the other way would be to go over here and go to Proton Mail. Or the other one, .com. Once again, I'm not doing great typing spelling today. Search for Proton Mail and then get me there. Spelling is important. Let's click login. You can already see Bitwarden little logo there. Click on that one. There's our account. Let's click on that and log in. Finally, we're going to have a look at how, when using the Bitwarden extension, if we create a new account somewhere, it'll actually ask you to save it. So I'm going to create a new login for a site, one I haven't used in a long, long time. All about fonts, which are like the way that the text looks on things. There's a site called What the Font, which is all about a site where you can find out different fonts, find ones that you might like to use, but also you can upload fonts, and they'll tell you what it is. Let's see, we should have somewhere here an option for signing up. Okay, so the sign up part was not immediately obvious. Under sign in, there's an option, obviously, enter your current details, but you can also sign up from there. Not the most obvious location for it. Creating a new account, put in a name, let them know what you want to be called. Not as important as email address. I don't want any free stuff, thank you. So that's correct. And the password. Here's where we can enact Bitwarden and get it to generate a password for us. So we can say generate. And we've got some settings here, how long the password is going to be, whether you're using capitals, lowercase, numbers, and special characters. There are some other options as well, how many special characters, avoid using ambiguous characters, but that's fine. If you don't like it, you can always go regenerate a few times, find one that you like the look of. That one will do. I'm going to click copy password. And then when I create this account, I'm going to paste the password there and there. Bitwarden should ask me, do you want to save this? And it has. Should Bitwarden remember the password for you? we can say yes, save now. Although what's just popped up here is actually my browser. Google Chrome is trying to also save things for me. I don't want Google Chrome to save things for me. Thank you, no. I'm using Bitwarden. I'm going to say no to that one, but yes to my fonts, the font here. Click save, and that's it, it's done. If I now sign out of here, and then go to sign back in again, we should have in here my fonts. We can just click on that, and it enters it in. Now, can you remember what that password was? I certainly can't. We can check it if we need to. I'm just going to sign in. Let's go and have a look at the entry for the site now. So I can click on the little Bitwarden extension icon up here, click on the view, and we can come down here and we can click the little eye to see the password with all the different characters and letters and numbers, and we don't ever need to know that or even remember it because our password manager does. Our password manager that has that one strong passphrase that we've used, which was beach, holiday, barbecue, friend, which is still very, very strong. We can always come back later and change it, but we don't need to for now. That's fine. A few little tips and tricks about using a password manager. It's very important when you first start using it that you don't put all of your eggs into one basket. If you put all of your banking details and all of your email addresses and everything into it, and then you forget that one master password, it can be very hard to recover it. I recommend when starting out with the password manager that you start with just a few sites. Enter in the details, create new accounts for different sites, save them into Bitwarden, and then if you have any problems, that's not a huge loss. Once you become more comfortable with it and you've memorized your master password, that's the time to start entering in a few more and then a few more. The last thing I wanted to go over was, as I mentioned before, telling your browser to not remember your password. It's different for each browser and it might be easy to do a search for it, but if we go into settings, I'm going to search for password. It's remembering some passwords. Offer to save passwords, let's turn that off. Auto sign in, nope, I'm going to do that with Bitwarden, thank you. Never save, I told these sites already not to save passwords, that's fine. And that should no longer let my browser ask me to save passwords. That was quite a long video and a lot of information in there. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the comments below. I will endeavour to answer all questions that are posted. And if you need additional help, I'd be happy to communicate via email as well.